It's Christmas time, a period of fun festivities, joyful gift giving, and possibly some awkward family drama. When going home for the holidays, it can be a common experience to feel a little anxiety around how you're going to show up and how you're going to be, especially if you've been working on your mental health and your boundaries over the previous months. This time of year brings a lot of baggage with it: family expectations, emotional history, some unspoken rules, and all of that is coming together all at once at a time that is supposed to be fun and joyful and perfect for everybody. And if you have been doing a lot of work to improve your mental health, you've been putting boundaries in place, you've been looking after yourself, you've been changing how you show up, then it can feel a bit nervous to try and show up to Christmas as this new version of you. And in fact, this family gatherings at Christmas potentially run risk to knocking you off course from these new behaviors and the new you that you've been being. But it doesn't have to. And in this video, I'm going to give you some advice on why Christmas can trigger you and what you can do to still show up as your authentic and healing self without feeling guilty or causing any unnecessary conflict. Christmas can be a really triggering time for a number of reasons. One of those that I feel like isn't talked about very often is the fact that it makes us regress. When we go home into our often what was our childhood home or somewhere we spent a lot of time as a child, and we're interacting with relationships, often with people older than us, parents, grandparents, aunties, and uncles, we can regress back to more infantile and childlike stages than we previously, than we normally are. And this can bring up feelings from back then in a much more tangible at the surface way than it normally is during our day to day lives. And this is why it can be such a difficult time to maintain our regular boundaries, because it's almost like we're acting as if we were a child again. And children have very poor emotional regulation skills. And so we have to do extra hard work to really make sure we're staying true to ourselves and our boundaries. And we're using our emotional regulation techniques that we've otherwise usually competent at doing. And of course, it's not just how we're going to be feeling inside, it's going to be some of the expectations from other people onto us. We may feel some form of emotional debt in terms of what people are giving us or how we're supposed to show up. And there's probably going to be some expectations around how we need to act at Christmas. If we're a son, we should do this. If we're a daughter, we should do this. If we're a cousin, we need to do this. And there can be family traditions and expectations that we might feel like we have to live up to and that we could be shamed for if we're not going to participate in. And it's okay to feel a bit worried about how we're going to show up for that. And we also know that if we don't stick to some of the new boundaries and ways of being that we've been learning, then we're going to fall into those same old patterns that we know hurt us. And this can look like saying yes to things that we don't want to do and then feeling resentful about it. It can look like going along with traditions that we don't actually want to participate in anymore. Or maybe we start over explaining our choices and our decisions that we've made, and we just get ourselves into a bit of a pickle. And then we might start feeling responsible for other people's emotions and how they might feel about some things we've been doing. Or maybe we're particularly afraid of having that conversation with that one person. And there's nothing wrong with any of this. Our nervous systems are just responding in the way that they probably have all of our lives. But we've made a decision now that we're going to show up differently, that we're going to look after ourselves. And in order to do that, you're going to need to have really firm boundaries that you feel comfortable and confident in being able to stick to. And just before we start looking at some practical ways you can do that, I want to give one very, very important reminder. Boundaries are for you, and they're not for you to use to try and control other people's behavior. So please don't waltz into Christmas and say, here are my boundaries, and you're going to have to do this. because that's going to be counterproductive and probably not get you what you want. Now, maybe you do end up mentioning a few changes that you'd like to see or the way that you're going to show up ahead of time. That can be a very practical and useful thing to do to give people a heads up. Hey, I'm going to be a little bit different this year. I'm going to do this slightly differently. But you don't have to formally state, I am doing this and this is my boundary. You just act the boundary out. And so, with that said, let's talk about some of the ways that you can start getting ready. And the first one of those is deciding beforehand what you will and won't do. How long are you going to stay? What topics are you going to engage in and what topics are you not going to engage in? What are you not comfortable explaining and how are you going to act when one of those difficult situations arises? Because you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. And having a few prescriptive phrases to get out of those difficult situations can really help. Some very simple ones are, that doesn't work for me this year, or I'm choosing to do something different, or I'm not discussing that. And those are all okay, and you don't have to go into explaining why or whatever. After you've done this once or twice or a couple of times, most people are going to get the memo. And if they don't get the memo, then you're moving into territory where people are genuinely encroaching and you've done a really good job of kindly and gently explaining, I'm just not doing this. And you might have to start looking at potentially an exit plan or just not talking to certain people or going and doing something else. Remember, you do not need to apologize or justify anything. You are just gently acting out where your boundaries are and what you are and aren't comfortable talking about or doing. And it's going to feel uncomfortable. Whenever we show up newly, it feels uncomfortable for us because we're trying out new behaviors and we feel nervous about that. And it's difficult because we might do it, imperfectly or more imperfectly than we usually do things. But it also feels uncomfortable for other people because when we change, other people have to change too because they don't know how to relate to us anymore. And people really don't like change. So you prepare for some of that discomfort that you're going to feel and that you're going to cause for other people as well, or that other people might feel. You don't cause feelings in other people, but they might feel that in response to how you're acting in this new way. And you know what? It might hurt and it probably will be difficult, but at the end of the day, you're being you. And the discomfort of you being yourself is going to be less than the pain of you squashing down who you really are just to conform to some other expectations that other people are placing on you. Remember, boundaries aren't there so you can go and control people or be a jerk to them. Boundaries are there to protect the relationship. Boundaries clearly say, here I am, and this is what I'm doing. And if you want to be a part of that, then this is how I'm going to engage with you in that. And if you don't want to engage with me in this very fair way that I am showing up and asking you to, that's a you problem, not a me problem. And in doing that, boundaries protect your integrity with yourself. And if you can do one thing this holiday period, when you go home and you're a bit worried about how you're going to show up, just remember that you have yourself. You've been doing this work. You've been looking after yourself. You've been practicing your boundaries. You are prepared and you've got this. It's going to be imperfect, but you can also be kind to yourself. And you can go and maybe you can have a little bit of fun this holiday season. Did I capture all of your concerns that you might have when you're going home for the holidays? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, then thank you very much for watching. Please hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. Take care, and I will see you again soon.